Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Olpin. I am professor of health promotion at Weber State University, and I'm so happy to be doing this Wellness Workers podcast. I'll be your host today, and today we are thrilled to have with us one of my very best friends, Robert Nelson, who works at the Luraco Company, the Luraco Massage Chair Company. And we've been working together for, goodness, 2 or 3 years,
Least.
back and forth, doing a lot of great things. And he is one of the most prolific massage chair experts in the world. And we are so excited to have a little conversation about stress relief centers. We're going to talk about how to implement a stress relief center like the one that we've put together at Weber State University, and some other things associated with massage chairs and whatever else comes up in this conversation that is related to our focus, which is helping people figure out how to stay more well. And so, Robert, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Dr. O.
It's great to talk to you again. And I think today what we're going to do, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Glad you asked because it's actually an amazing story how you and I came to know each other. When I started, I've been selling for all my life. I've been in the furniture industry for many years, but when I started working here at Luraco, probably about 5 years ago, I started doing some research, familiarize myself with the product and to understand this technology. In the midst of doing that research, I came across the fact that you had conducted a study, a scientific study on these chairs many years prior to me coming to Luraco. So I kind of searched you out like, I need to talk to this guy. This guy knows what this is all about. He could give me an education so I could actually have an awareness of how it benefits the users. So as you and I began to talk, the funniest thing to me is, as I began speaking with you and you start teaching me about the strategies for stress relief, stress elimination, stress reduction, stress prevention, I'm like, wow, I was stressed out and I didn't even know it. I'm like, I thought everybody felt like that. I thought this was the natural way to do things, right? But it wasn't so. And I'm so appreciative of the knowledge that you've given me over the time that we've known each other via directly and via the courses, the online courses that you've created, because I was privileged to take one of your online courses, a course about stress relief. I think it's called the Release Course. It's the same course that nurses get 15 hours of continued education credit when they take that course, because it really teaches them how to kind of key it down and actually get control of what the mind is doing, right? Yeah. So as I took that course, I'm proud to say that I'm a certified stress relief specialist, taught by the doctor firsthand. But man, you've told me so many different things as to how I can go about addressing stress and how I can help my customers, clients, friends, and associates address issues of stress to kind of turn it down and keep it off for the most part. But so I'm in your debt. I say that I'm in your debt. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to be on your show.
Well, it's exciting. One of the things that I have been really trying to figure out is stress something that is not only manageable, not only reducible, but is it preventable? And I think it is, and we'll play with that a little bit. But today, I think what we want to do is just kind of have a conversation about the Stress Relief Center, how we've used your massage chairs and some others, but principally yours, the Luraco massage chairs, and some additional tools that we'll go into detail about to create a stress relief center that is really doing some amazing things with people's stress, and we've been able to study it in a scientific sort of way. And so, I don't know, Robert, if you want to.
Well, I want to jump in right there because the fact that you talk about the scientific study is mind-boggling, right? Because there had historically never been any scientific studies done on machine massage, robotic massage, mechanical massage, right? Now, they've done some studies in terms of physical therapy, like massage therapy, but the things that you did at the university, man, I equate that on the same level as the breakthrough discoveries that were made by, I would say, Joe Dispenza in the field of
Hmm.
neuroplasticity. This guy had taken people and measured detailed metrics on what would happens to them physiologically when they make these psychological adjustments.
Right.
So he's been able to quantify the impact of that technology. Also, I believe it's Bruce Lipton, who's done some research in the field of epigenetics that
Hmm.
really helps people understand, okay, that your genes don't destine your outcome. There are things you can do to offset whatever genetic patterns you may have historically had to
Right.
create different outcomes. And that for me is mind-boggling. So I equate your study on the same level because you actually took thousands of people through a process and measured in detail post, before and after, what outcomes they were having in terms of the heart rate, in terms of the blood pressure,
Hmm.
in terms of their perceived stress and perceived pain. That for me is a phenomenal discovery, particularly because no one has ever done it. No one
Right.
recognizes. Now, there are many people that'll get in a massage chair and they'll say, oh, that feels good, right? But they don't really have a scientific understanding of what is this doing
Mm.
physically for me? What is actually happening in my body? I find it amazing that these technologies and these practices have been ancient over in the East. But for
Mm.
us here in America, this is relatively new. We use technologies like Dorn therapy that provides spinal adjustment,
Hmm.
reflexology that actually triggers aspects through your hands and your feet that connects to internal organs so that you can stimulate activity in those internal organs for better wellness. Uh, Acupressure that actually deals with the meridian points inside the body through your chi energy system that
Hmm.
actually enables you to realign, get back to that state of homeostasis, and re-energize yourself. There are so many things. One of the things that happened today, I had a doctor, actually he's not a doctor, he's the director of a hospital. He visited us here at our showroom. He actually bought a chair and him and his wife were here and he had some issues with his back, but his wife, her interest was she wants to have the lymphatic flush that the massage provides.
Mm.
Because as you know, the heart, well, the blood system has a heart to pump it, but the lymphatic system has no pump.
Right.
And unless you have some kind of stimulation to kind of move the lymph through your system, you're creating an environment internally that's conducive to sickness, disease, arthritis, all different kinds of ailments. In fact, one of the things that I mentioned in our conversation with the dealers the other day was, according to the World Health Organization, stress is the cause of over 90% of diseases. So
Hmm.
that's an astonishing statistic. So I say that to say, I really take my hat off to the fact that you've taken the meticulous detail to studying how do these tools and techniques that you implemented within the stress relief center there in Weber State, how do they really affect the physiological well-being of the individual that you're dealing with? I think that's phenomenal, man.
Yeah, it's been quite phenomenal is a good way of describing it. We realized, I mean, I've been studying stress management and stress and wellness for 30 years, and there are a lot of ways to measure a lot of the different, like somebody exercises, there's so many things you can measure. Somebody sleeps, you can measure things. Sleep studies are all over the place. There's not as many good studies, especially to do with massage machines for sure. And so when I was asked here at the university if we could put together a place, one of the first things I wanted to do was to have massage chairs. We have other things like chi machines, we have little meditation areas, we have a library, we have all kinds of fun little toys, but the main juice of our stress relief center is the massage chairs. And it's really convenient how we've been able to set this up. So when somebody comes in, we do measure them. We measure them for heart rate, blood pressure, like you said, perceived stress related pain. And then they do whatever they do. And the average time that people spend in there is about Well, we've had, I was checking the numbers yesterday, and we've had over 10,000 people
Wow.
through our place. For the purpose of the study, we kind of pulled out about, I think it was 2,800, just a really nice number of just pieces of data within a certain period of time, and or lines of data, I should say. And so, yeah, people would come in, we assess them, and then they do what they do, and then we assess them again, kind of pre and post. We didn't have, sadly, we didn't have a control group, but we felt like, and the statisticians here at school said, you're probably okay, as strong as these numbers are, you're probably okay. And so we submitted it for publication. It got published in an international journal. Um, and we've had it actually published a couple times. I've presented at a couple conferences, and yeah, it's nice to have validity and reliability associated with something that we're trying to do that is a little subjective. I mean, somebody feels
Right.
better. It's tricky to get, but it was really solid. I mentioned this before. The person who's doing the statistics said, if this what we do in the stress relief center here at school were a pill, were a drug for stress, it would be the most popular, best-selling pill in the world for how strongly the statistics show that it works.
Man, that's
And
amazing.
it is
That's,
amazing.
I want to tell you something. I had another guest that was here earlier this week, and we were discussing some issues. One of which is that the third, one of the third largest causes of death in America is medicine. Medicine. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you ever listen to these commercials when they tell you about this drug you get ready to take, the side effects may include dropping dead, right? Like,
that's one of the
I'm
side
like,
effects.
wow. And I love the story you told about how you started your journey on studying stress, because you actually had been diagnosed with hypertension, I
Yeah,
believe it was.
yeah.
And they were prescribing something for you, and you're like, no, I don't really want to take that. So let me see if I can find another way to make this happen. So the things that you're discovering are really breakthrough concepts in terms of helping people to achieve wellness without taking the risky road of some medications that some of which is still experimental. We just don't see what it do to you. We're gonna, if it don't work, we're gonna pull it. After you die, then we're gonna do something different.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the craziest thing in the world, man. So when I think about what happens in terms of being able to get better health and well-being from these natural solutions,
Hmm.
for me, that is a win-win scenario. Now, this is something that I've discovered recently. There is a change that's taking place in the way that the insurance companies are handling some of these situations now as well.
Mm.
In fact, I had an individual, and it was a person that had it, bought a chair. She had $100 copay. I think she bought a $15,000 chair, but the insurance company covered it because since 2013, there has been a 500% increase in the number of people who have health savings account. Let me explain what I mean. The people, traditionally, insurance companies, they just control it. They say, okay, you got a sickness, you need this, I'll cover it, get you this medication, get you this tool or whatever. But massage, their mechanical massage had never been covered under insurance traditionally,
Right.
right? However, now with self-directed accounts, people can decide, okay, this is what I need for my well-being. And
Mm.
it's as if there's a savings account that they get certain financial benefits from for having that savings account. But dude, there are over $116 billion worth of health savings accounts in America. So the thought is there are a lot of people who could benefit from that process. And what I had to do in order to get the insurance company to actually process that order is give them the medical coding. So we are
Mm.
registered with the Food and Drug Administration as a durable medical device, and there's a certain code for that. And we're also registered as a therapeutic massage device, and there's another code for that. So when I was able to give the insurance company the medical coding, the referencing how this is going to benefit their client, they covered the cost of it. So I think there are a lot of people who don't realize, one, that there's some solutions that you can have naturally that you don't have to try to deal with medication in certain situations, because sometimes that can be kind of sketchy.
Hmm.
Two, that even if there is a solution that can be more naturopathic in nature, that you can actually get insurance to cover it more readily now than you could in the past, because times are changing, things are changing, and stress is more intense in the United States of America, I would think, than anywhere else on the planet, because of the fast-paced lifestyle that we live. It's constant go, go, dog eat dog kind of environment. It really taxes the person's physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I think it would be interesting to know from your perspective, with that in mind, what you just said, to what extent are the massage chairs getting better at handling? So let's say a person has fibromyalgia, or somebody has, intense muscle pain in various parts of their body because of chronic stress. Maybe you could explain a little bit about how massage chairs have evolved over time to the point where they are now, and where do you see them going, such that it, I think, gives insurance companies more confidence in using massage chairs to help with the stress.
I'm glad you asked, because I had the opportunity when that doctor was here earlier today to take him on the tour to show him the evolution of Luraco's technologies. Because when we first came into the industry, we actually started creating products for the U.S. military. But the family is connected with a lot of beauty salons, right? So what they did was they created one of those S massage called the S track that just gives you massage in your back, just kind of goes up and down your back, make you feel good while you're sitting there getting a pedicure or whatever, right? So that was the first iteration. From doing that, they evolved and developed what was called the L track. So that'll give you not just the back massage, but also get up under your glutes. So you'll have more of an L shape. Yeah. Well, the people in the beauty salons were so fond of the product, they said, why don't you go ahead and make a full body massage product so we can really, really have the experience, a kind of immersive experience. So that's how the Luraco technology was born, and we have patented the split L track, or it's SL track, and this is what that means. That means with the split track, you actually can get a greater body stretch, which enhances your range of motion, right? So with the split L track, you can actually have the massage routine running even while you're in a stretched position. So this is one of the revolutions in the industry. Now, many people are coming out, when I say patented technology, that means we have US patents on our technology. A lot of products that are out there in the market that don't have patents are what we refer to in old world colloquialism as knockoffs. So it's like they emulating, but this is the originate. So one of the things that I see happening as this continues to evolve is a couple of things. Our chairs have a body scan technology that actually helps to identify your personal physiology so that it applies pressure where you need to. And then it gives you the dexterity to be able to adjust and modify the intensity, because everybody's body is not the same. As I was here earlier with the doctor and his wife, she was saying, yeah, I like it intense in these areas, but I don't like it intense in the back. Well, some of the older models or versions, they had one set fits all. You get in it, you like it or don't. But ours is giving you the flexibility to say, okay, first, identify physiologically how I should be massaged. Two, let me have the flexibility to go in and tweak it to my own specificity, right? So what our chairs do is that once you dial it into your perfect massage routine, you can save it under your profile. And after that, you don't have to go and get a body scan. You can actually go straight to your desired massage routines. These are some of the things that are coming out in the market that are revolutionary.
Yeah.
There are sensors right now that can tell where you're intense or tight in terms of your muscle tensity. And based on your level of intensity, it can adjust your massage so that it matches and provides greater therapeutic benefit directly for you.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, another technology that's coming out is the sonic technology. So are you familiar with binary beats?
Yes.
I'm familiar with the 11th octave. There are certain sounds that, when incorporated, actually produce psychological and physiological release. It starts a chemical reaction. So all of the feel-good chemicals that you really need to rest and repair are triggered. So when I mention massage, now massage is integrated therapies, integrated medicine. It's not holistic. But there's so many other things that can be incorporated with that to make it a more holistic and immersive experience. Now, we do have music that plays in our chairs, but we also have Bluetooth technology. So you can be listening to binary beats or 11th octaves that put you in a greater state of gamma consciousness. When you're in that state of gamma consciousness, you get creative, you get ingenious, you get energized. Dude, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So these are things that are really evolving in the industry. I see it coming to pass. In fact, I've seen this years ago. A concept called it's like a healing bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as they identify what's providing the greatest therapy, they're going to continue to adjust, enhance, and modify that. But I had the opportunity to listen to you and Dr. Widener have a conversation about having things that come over the top and actually provide other aspects of your body massage instead of just the back. Because remember, when they first started, it was only the upper back.
Right.
Now it's all the way down the body to the feet, the toes. They're eventually going to develop the technology where it can adjust so that you can get topical massages as well. There's several things on the drawing board, some of which I can't discuss as confidential, but yeah, that's some things that's coming out, man, that are mind-boggling.
That is, I mean, that's on one side scary, but also so exciting to think, wow, I could just sit in the chair and 20 minutes later feel amazing. I mean, they already do. That's why, I mean, I have a chair. Actually, I have two massage chairs in my house,
Wow.
along with the ones that we use at the stress relief center, because they just work. I mean, and the cool thing, one of the things that I really like about massage chairs, I mean, we have other things, and I wanted to mention a couple of the other things that we have in there that are great. But what's great about a massage chair is you don't have to consciously do anything.
Right. It's passive.
To make, yeah, it's entirely passive. And so as a result, you don't have to like, because like with meditation, I mean, I've been meditating since 1988. It's like, and it's fixed my blood pressure for one, and I mean, it's made all kinds of great things happen with me internally and physiologically. But it's also, I have to make a conscious effort
Right.
to what I focus on and how I focus. And there's dozens of different ways to meditate, but massage chair, you just sit down and we have another, you talked about the chi energy. We have this machine. It's a little tiny, it sits about foot and a half wide, and you lie on the floor and you put your ankles in this machine and it wiggles back and forth. It's called a chi machine. And first time I tried this, I was at a conference in the Midwest somewhere. What I did my PhD at Southern Illinois University, and so there was a conference somewhere nearby. I think it was St. Louis, um, and I tried one of these, and it just knocked my socks off. It was like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. And so when we put together the stress relief center, I said, I've got to have one of these. And so I actually have two in our center. And yeah, you just lie there on the ground, and your legs are kind of off the ground with your ankles in the machine that's about, say 12 inches off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And your feet, your ankles are in it, and it wiggles your legs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you do that for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And while it's going, it's like, okay, whatever. You're kind of like, oh, this is interesting, I guess. But the instant it stops, and this is what we tell all the people who use it, and because it's the second most popular item of all the toys that we have in the Stress Relief Center, we tell them the second it stops, whatever you do, do not move. We say just stay right there. And it's startling the different things that people experience when when it stops and they're lying there. And so just as an example, I mean, for my own self, every time I do it and it stops, I feel this energy that starts in my feet, and it just kind of, and the only description that is adequate for it is it's kind of like glistening honey that just
Mm.
oozes up my legs, up to my, and it just kind of makes its way up my body. And it's one of the most unusual, cool feelings I've ever had. And
Mm.
everyone who tries this has some people say, oh, I was floating, or some people say they felt like they were just sinking down into the floor, just kind of melting in the floor. But almost always they feel some kind of energy. I don't know what that is.
Well,
In
I do. I know.
Eastern medicine, they call it chi
Mhm.
energy, but
Yeah, I know part of it is, as we mentioned about the lymphatic system, many people are completely oblivious to this, that the body itself is a community of over 70 trillion cells.
Mhm.
It's just one community. Each cell in the body does what each body does. It goes to the bathroom, right? It eats and it goes to the bathroom,
Right, right.
but it's going to the bathroom in the body. So when you get a technology like that that's wiggling and activating those energy centers, it's
Mm,
moving those toxins through the body.
that
And you're
makes
starting to feel the ramifications and reactions of that. That's phenomenal. You know, with something that you taught me, you shared with me some time ago, you more or less reminded me of something that I learned from my first mentor, who was Paul J. Meyer. Paul J. Meyer was a billionaire out of Waco, Texas, and he owned the Success Motivation Institute. And he was the first person that I reached out to say, you know, I really want to learn how to sell. I want to learn how this business works. And he began to teach me. One of the most fascinating things that he taught me said that you need to understand that the human mind, the subconscious, cannot distinguish between something that is actual and perceived in terms of just
sense.
something that you put your mind on. So he gave me this illustration. And I remember you reminded me of this illustration. He talked about, imagine yourself having a lemon and then, you know, feel it in your hand. You know, take the time out, feel the texture of it, the coolness, the firmness. Then imagine that you're putting it down and you cutting it with a knife. And then, you know, you smell the crisp, the citrus fragrance, and you put it towards your mouth. You get ready to taste it. And by the time you put it towards your mouth in this mental exercise, your mouth is watering
Right.
physically.
Yeah.
Because the body's like, oh, we got lemon, y'all. But that's how powerful the mind is.
Yeah.
So that's why I credit so much value to the things that you teach, because you teach people how to take the mind and get it under order so that it's not stressing. I've been recently practicing and with great joy, I should say, engaging in the How to Master Stress class, right? The coaching program.
Yes. Yeah.
So as I go through this process and I take time out each week to make a projection about what I want to see happen that week, and not a whole bunch of stuff, just that I identify 3 things. And then I reflect on what happened last week that I can celebrate, be grateful for, be joyful for. What it does is it starts to orchestrate and organize my awareness about what's
Mm,
important to me,
mhm.
about what, and my awareness about what I don't need to be stressing about. It's
Right.
like this. It's kind of like I saw Tony Robbins. He did a seminar one time, and he was trying to give this illustration of why chunking is so powerful. He said, imagine you having a whole encyclopedia collection of information. Could be your business, whatever, but it's stuff that you need to know. But otherwise, if it were in a file cabinet, you take all the files out, you throw them on the floor together, and they all there piled together. So now you need a piece of information, but you don't know where to find it.
Mhm.
So even though it's there right in front of you, you stress because you can't get your hands on it. But when you start orchestrating, organizing, and chunking the pieces of your life that are important and prioritizing them accordingly, the stress is off. You can put your hand on what you want when you want to. You can do the thing that you need to do next because you're confident and you've been looking at this so consistently that no longer is it intimidating to you. And once you start seeing some wins, even small victories, saying, oh, I said I was going to do this, that happened. Then you start building a level of confidence and say, I can do something bigger. I
Yep.
can do something greater. So these are steps that of what you teach in terms of your stress relief centers, not just the toys, but also the tools of understanding
Mm.
how do you deal with this when you leave the room, right? So I really remember you said something about it was a police officer that was directed to the center because he was had serious high blood pressure. I believe it was one of the campus nurses that told him you need to go down there and go to the stress relief center before you pass out, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and he came down there and you work with him and he was able to get his blood pressure down. But the thought is there are certain professions like the police officers, like firefighters, like the military, like educators, really, like nurses and doctors, that are
Yeah.
in high stress situations that really, really need these solutions. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. As I was talking with the doctor that was here today, I mentioned to him about the study that was done at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And this was prior to COVID. The study conducted was a nurse-led study to create spaces so that these nurses and doctors can go, decompress and actually rejuvenate. Because
Hmm.
if they make a mistake, it could be a matter of life and death.
Right.
So having mistakes is really dangerous in that situation, right? So they created these spaces so that they can go and replenish and be sharper on their game. The mistakes were reduced, the attrition rates went down, and they ultimately set 10 rooms as serenity lounges where they have massage chairs, among other things,
Hmm.
so that those nurses and doctors can be at the pinnacle of their game because they're holding another individual's life in their hands. And I think that's so vitally important that we understand that the
Right.
people who are caring for our health and our well-being, such as the nurses, the firefighters, the police officers, they need to be taken care of, which is why we created a care chair program to make it possible for us to put chairs in facilities like 911 centers, fire stations, police departments. And ultimately, we're looking at doing the same thing with hospitals. We just did a care chair with the Akron Children's Hospital. And it's a beautiful thing because they had Lexus sponsor half of it and Luraco sponsored half of it. But these nurses, they're on their feet all the time. They need help. They need somewhere to go where they can
Yeah.
kind of relax for a minute, recuperate, get back into that state of homeostasis, that rest and repair state that we're really supposed to be in, supposed to be at our apex.
Tell us just a little bit about your care chair program. Can you elaborate a little bit on
I'm
how that?
glad you asked because what I did when I first started working here, I'm like, okay, I didn't realize how big the massage chair industry was. The massage chair industry is over $3.5 billion annually. Of the 3.5 billion, a billion is at least consumed by North America.
Wow.
Of that consumption, there's only one massage chair manufacturer in North America, and that's Luraco in
Mm.
America. It's the only one in the world that's American made.
Mm.
And there are probably about 8 to 10 players in the game. So I'm like, dude, y'all got the best things to slice bread, but nobody even knows we here.
Yeah.
So my first recommendation is, okay, I said, well, we need to get the word out. How do we do that? So I went to the city of Arlington where our plant is located. And I said, well, we want to give a chair to the city. So we talked to the council people. The council people said, it needs to go to the fire station. So I went to the fire station, talked to the fire chief. Fire chief said, it needs to go to the 911 dispatch center, right? Now, keep in mind, I'm marketing. My plan is to get the product out here so people can experience it and start finding out the value of it.
Right.
When I got to the 911 station, I was converted. I'm a real believer now because I didn't imagine the levels of stress those people were under. Dude, when they go on break, there's an alarm on the wall in the break room. And if a phone is ringing over 30 seconds, it goes off. And whatever you're doing, you got to stop and get to that phone. This is real. Because
Yeah.
somebody on the other line is in maybe a distressful situation. They don't call 911 for lunch. They
Right.
call 911 because it's a crisis.
That's true.
So when I saw that, my heart really went out. I'm like, oh, there's so many people that are under tremendous stress and that have huge, I would say, conversion rates in those industries because people can't take it. They get burnt out.
Right.
And it really opened my eyes to say, okay, well, there should be some component to address that. As I started to investigate, it's only recent that more and more departments, like police departments, are creating wellness units.
Mm.
So they're mindful that the officers need to be they're out there, they have guns, right? If they stressed out, it could be devastating consequences, right?
Yeah.
So more people are starting to wake up to that fact that, okay, yeah, the officers need to be stressed. They need their stress reduced. Firefighters are under tremendous stress. They're putting their life on the line for the communities that we serve. So when we saw this as a care chair program, we said, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to develop some strategies. We started connecting with some wellness departments. In fact, the doctor that was here today says that there's a wellness department and office in the hospital where he works. They have resources allocated for the purpose of addressing the people's wellness. But we've taken a step further. One of the things we've done recently, and I thank you so much for allowing us to share the information about your study on our promotional material, because what we're doing is we're identifying locations, high traffic locations, and we're putting massage vending machines where people can pay to get a massage, right? But we're taking portions of the proceeds and using them to buy these chairs for the firefighters, for the police officers, for the 911 dispatch centers. So there are places like laundromats and car dealerships that have a lot of traffic. And sometimes when people are sitting there and they test out, when you buy in a car, it can be a tense situation, right?
Yes.
So to have the opportunity to get a quick massage is relieving. A smart salesperson would pay for you to get a massage. We want you to relax. We try to get this deal done. We don't want you to be tensed out. Also, when you doing laundry, dude, I hate doing laundry. I don't do it if I can avoid it. But the thought is, it's taxing. If you folding stuff, you standing on your feet, and you got to turn around, man, that can be a reason for you in between washes, go and get a massage.
Great idea.
Right?
Yeah.
But for me, it became a win-win scenario when I say, this helps to feed a bigger cause, because not only are we generating revenues for the facilities, for the institution, whether it be the dealership or the laundromat, but we take a portion of the proceeds and use it to help cover the cost of care chairs for people who need them, mostly institutions, but I have individuals that reach out to me as well who desire care chairs.
Wow.
You can find information out about these programs at LuracoCares.com. That's LuracoCares.com, because we do care. One of the things that I saw in my email signature line when I first started working here is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm saying that I'm open to entertain a conversation with anyone. If you're looking at implementing a stress relief center solution, I know that Dr. Olpin has decades of experience, trial and error. He knows what works and he knows what doesn't work. We'd be more than interested in sharing our knowledge with you so that you can serve as a mark as the people that you serve. So I'm looking at reaching out to universities like the one you work at, other hospitals, and letting them know about some of these solutions, man, because I think the medical industry is a financial, I don't want to say any negative terms, but they don't focus in on what's necessary best as far as the pharmaceuticals. The medical industry at large doesn't focus on always what's best, but it's what's most profitable, because they're always trying to generate more profit for their shareholders. But the reality is that what's best is not always the most profitable, and it may not always require surgical procedures or medication to treat, because the body is an amazing machine when you learn how to use it.
Yeah. And I think to continue, if you put a comma after what you just said, the body's an amazing machine when it's not in fight or flight mode. Yeah. As far as how it heals. If it's in fight or flight mode, it's by its nature breaking down. And that's how come symptoms take over. Headaches, ulcers, whatever symptom of stress. When we're in fight or flight, that's the natural reaction. But when we are out of fight or flight, when we're in parasympathetic nervous system activity, when we're in relaxation, the body naturally heals head to toe, all systems. And I think people don't realize that the damage they're doing to themselves by being in a chronically stressed state. They just think, oh, this is how life is. But it's
right.
not.
Everybody, it's kind of like I thought when I first met you. I'm like, God, I thought everybody felt this way. I thought this was normal.
So, Robert, do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I have a parting thought. So I had a meeting with the wellness doc. You had the opportunity to meet the wellness doc. The wellness doc came to our facility about a week ago, and he actually brought the president of the North Texas Spinal Association, who was in a wheelchair. And he brought him because we have patented easy access armrests that just slide back, and it's easy to transfer from a wheelchair to our massage chairs. But as he brought him and we were discussing this whole process, one of the things that resonated with me is something that he said to you. He said that, when you have the answer, when you have the solution that the world needs, it's not a matter of whether you want to share it. Because anytime you get a blessing, it's not just given to you, it's giving through you, right? I had God speak to me in this respect one day. People have been complimenting me on something I did. I did a show where I had a chance to sing with some professionals, right? And I'm not a professional in that area, but they came and complimented me, and I started, kind of downplaying a song. Yeah, those are professionals over there. He said, when I give you a blessing, don't sit in the position of a main artery and start acting like a vein. Because if you do, the body's gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So I say that because you have information that's of value, that's life-saving for people. It not only behooves you, it is your duty to make sure these people get this information that you've been able to discover through your extensive studies, because there are people that are dying daily unnecessarily. So I remember the wellness doc told you, said that when you got it, and now that you know that you accountable for that, it's not a factor of whether you're gonna go and tell them. You got to get it done. It's just a matter of necessity.
Yeah. And that's what we have a lot of people on our team working together to help make that happen. And I'm incredibly grateful to everybody involved here and where we're headed. And yes, I do think it is life-changing. And yes, I do think it can make an enormous difference for so many people, because I've seen it for 30 years helping people. It's a great thing.
I'm honored to be a friend and to be a part of your team, because if there's anything I can do in the terms of you having this impact that you're gonna have with people, you can feel free to call upon me at any time. I'm here to serve.
As we all are. Well, Robert, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights, sharing your wisdom, and sharing also your experiences and your background as far as with your own journeys, as well as what you're doing with Luraco Industries, Luraco Chairs, and the good that is happening as a result of all that you're doing. And so thank you very much for being part of us and being on this Wellness Workers podcast today. And for those who are listening, tune in next time. We'll keep an eye on our website, stressmanagementplace.com, and our Facebook area called Stress Management Place. And we will keep you posted as future shows come up. And thank you for joining us today.
Wow.
Until then,
excellent.
stay well.
Peace.